Hello cable lovers, welcome to another Prysmian fibre optic how-to video. My name is Sandy Many. Today I'm going to show you how to install a dual port gland onto a 48 fibre mini smart cable. This particular gland kit covers cables in the diameter range 5 to 9 millimeters, and it's very convenient in as much as you can install up to 2 cables into a single entry port in one of the Prysmian enclosures. Now you don't have to install 2 cables at once, you can install just a single cable, and the gland kit here is provided with a blanking plug that you can use to blank the unused port. But that plug can be taken out subsequently if you need to upgrade to add a second cable into the same port. So having said all of that, it's a very good product, and I will take you out into the workshop now and show you how to fit this. I'm going to show you now how to install a dual port gland onto a 48 fibre mini smart cable. Most of the Prysmian joint closures require that you strip about 2 meters of sheath back. And what I've done here is I've actually made a mark at 2 meters on the cable. And this is where I'll strip the sheath back to. I've also made another mark 75 millimeters up from that. And that's just to help me guide where to install the gland on the cable, make sure it's in the right position. So I'll go ahead now and strip back the cable, and then I'll return and show you how to assemble the gland and how to install it onto the cable. I've laid out all the parts of the gland kit here together with the instructions that come with every gland. It's important that you understand the cable diameter so that you can select the appropriate parts. Now the easiest way is to use the lookup table that I'm showing you now. I'll quickly run you through the parts that are in the gland kit. There's the main body here. This part here is used to secure the strength member. This is the gland nut that's used to tighten down onto the seal. There's a large and a small seal depending on the size of the cable. There are blanking plugs here again depending on the size of the seal for if you're only using a single cable into the gland. This part here helps us to secure the gland to the cable, and there's a spacer that's used depending on the size of the cable. Now what we need to do is to refer to this table in table 2 here, which tells us which parts to use. The cable we're going to fix this to is a 48 fibre mini smart with a diameter of 6.3 millimeters. So it falls in this range 5 to 7 millimeters. So for that we need to use the small seal. It's then in the range 6 to 7 millimeters, so we need to use the spacer. And we need to use the small blanking plug if we're going to fit just one cable, which we will today. We'll carry on and assemble the gland now, but the first thing I recommend you do, if you're only using a single cable, is to screw in one of these unused grub screws so it doesn't get lost, it's there for future use. Then what we need to do is to screw this retaining boss onto the front of the gland body, like that, and it needs to be reasonably finger tight, like that. Then we need to put this spacer onto the back of the body here. Just fit that there. Then we need to put the seal into the body. And it's important that the 2 holes in the seal align with the 2 holes in the strength member retention boss so that the cable fits through properly. And I've done that there. Now I need to just take this part here, which helps to secure the cable onto the gland, and the holes in this, if you can see, also need to align with the holes in the gland seal. So I've done that there now, and I'll just push this on. And the problem is this sometimes turns, so you need to just align it once you've tightened the nut partially. Right, now that will stay in place, and I can tighten that up. So I'm now ready to slide the cable through, secure its strength member, and tighten this nut fully. So I've gone ahead here and I've stripped back 2 meters of sheath. And I've left about 90 millimeters of GRP here. That's what we're going to use to secure the gland with. So before we can put the gland on, we just do need to put a little bit of silicone grease on the sheath here, just a little bit, just to make sure the gland seal can sit down properly on the sheath of the cable. Having done that, we can then slide the gland onto the cable, making sure we use the right hole. This one here. It goes through all the way here. And the GRP needs to go through the seal and then into the retaining boss here, like that. And then the mark that we made at 75mm needs to align with the end of the gland here. And that's where it is now. So I'm going to just use the Allen key that comes with the kit to tighten this up. That's that done. Now before we tighten the nut, we need to put the blanking plug in. And that just goes in the back here. There's a shoulder on the blanking plug. It just goes in up to the shoulder, into the seal up to the shoulder, like that. And then we can start to tighten this nut up. It's quite hard to tighten actually, but it needs to be tight all the way up so that we just trap the spacer, which is what I've done there. Okay, now we can just cut off any excess GRP, like that. And the last stage is to just put a cable tie around this bracket here, just to hold the cable a bit more securely onto the gland. Do that here. Don't do it too tight, it just needs to keep it all in place. And then just cut off any excess there. And that's us done, ready to install this gland into the CMJ or MMJ base, or LMJ in fact. We're now going to remove the blanking plug so that we can insert the gland. I've mounted a CMJ joint into a Prismian work stand. It rotates so it's easy to work on. It's a bit hard to see on the camera, but just in here, the blanking plug has two tabs that can be compressed with your fingers, and then the blanking plug pushed out from the inside out. So I'll just do that now to give you an idea. So there's the plug removed, so you can see it. Then all we need to do is to reorient the joint, and then I can push the gland up from the outside in. I've just got the gland that we fitted a moment ago, and I'm going to insert it into the port where we removed the blanking plug just now. So we just start by feeding the fibre tubes through the porthole, and then we insert the gland up through the base. Now the important thing is to make sure that you push this fully home and that you hear a solid click. So I'll just do that now. Listen for the click. That was it. Sometimes you just need to wiggle it a little bit, but usually you just get a good click. Now the last part is to just use a shifting spanner just to make sure that this gland nut is fully tight. And sometimes you can just get a little bit, not much. So I just got much less than a quarter of a turn there. But it just makes sure the gland nut is tight and won't come undone in service.